Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Jump Change. This is live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the house, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Max Voltage, good to see you. We got DJ Mines in the house. Perfect. Steven Cicero, good to see you, buddy. Kyle Rosa, Andrew Masad, Swamp 7, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Mr. Black Hat Team, good morning, sir. Let's see, Carl Coate. Everybody else I may have missed. Triple Nickel Technologies, good to see you. All right, everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. We got to get into this. Sorry for the late start this morning. The kids bombarded me first thing, and that's that's how daddy duty goes. Never ends. Bitcoin 62,371 bucks. Look at that. Everything's in the nice green or deep green this morning. Ethereum 2426. Look at that, 5.14% up on the day. Bitcoin's actually up 4%, pretty nice. Solana 138 bucks. We got XRP at 58 cents. AVAX over here $26, up almost 12%. Damn. Near Protocols up to $4.44, up 11.4%. We have Caspa holding strong over 17 cents. Litecoin 65 bucks. Nice. Look at that. Everything's freaking looking great. Sui over here 15% up on the day, $1.35. If anybody's into that. ETC is up to $18.50. Let's see, Dogecoin 10.5 cents, just under rather. Shiba is actually up 7% today. If anybody has that, I still do hold some of it. Render $5.15. Look at that, up almost 10% today. BitTensor up, geez, it's close to 20%, 1881%. Look at that, up to 377 bucks. This was 290 the other day, 2 days ago. BNB's 557 bucks. Geez, Hadouken into this whole market. That's amazing, man. Why does that do that? All right, let's see. Get over to Crypto Bubbles. Biggest earner of the day, look at this, seems to be Popcat, 29.6% up on the day, 88 cents. If anybody's into this meme coin, it's ranked 76th, and it's got a $865 million market cap, which is insane. Let's see, we got, looks like Hex. What's going on with this coin? It's in 96th place now, back into the top 100. $666 million market cap, and it's at 0.7 of a penny. Interesting. Is that guy still running from the cops, that Richard guy? Does anybody know? I haven't heard any news on that at all. It's been like a long time since I even talked about Hex. BitTensor 19.3% up as of right now, again 377 bucks. Say 24.2% up, 33 cents. Seems to be one of the biggest earners. Interesting. Crazy. Everything's just like way up today. Celestia 19.4%, $6.26. Yeah, nothing really jumping out at me, but Render, it's nice to see Render move 10%. It's very nice. Actually, it's nice to see everything move. All right, Flashbang, let's see, here we go. Fear and Greed Index looking like a 49, getting back into the middle of this this speedometer thing here. This is again overall consensus, the whole market. It's just one of those things, man. We don't want to climb too fast. We kind of want to stay right here in the neutral area, right between 75 and 25, and just bounce around for a little bit, at least up until the election or after the election. That's when we want to start seeing things take a lift off, right? Uptober is a real thing. All right, moving on. Top 10 coins over here by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Lado Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Toncoin over here in 10th place at a $14.5 billion market cap. We got Tron in 11th, and Cardano is in 12th still at a $12.3 billion market cap. Let's see. All right, scrolling down just a little bit. Near Protocol is in 24th place. We got Litecoin in 25th place, and Caspa still holding strong in 26th place. Again, over 17 cents, dude. Hadouken to Caspa. Perfect. Amazing. It's holding up very well. Actually, stunned. I took some profits off the table at 17 cents, so I'm glad to see it's still holding, but I was prepared to buy back in. Let's see. Broke, not like before. I sold near the top. What'd you sell? Caspa is huge on that photo. I love it. Oh, on this? No, not this. This? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, DJ. I'm sorry. All right, Ethereum Classic in 38th place. Again, a $2.7 billion market cap. I wonder if Ethereum Classic's gonna start doing some nice things. I swear to God, I just heard something click on my desk. Weird, lost it. Anyways, all right, moving on to the mining segment of things. You guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. Let me just refresh this page quick. All right, looks like we're still $86 on the AL1 Pro 16.6 terahash unit at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Nice. We got the AL1 15.6 terahash unit over here making $80 a day, and the AL3 from Ice River 15 terahash unit making $77.42 a day. Again, those are all lithium ASICs. Let's check the price of lithium this morning, see what it looks like, because I don't know. People have just been selling the shit out of this coin, so I'm hoping it's pumping. Look at this, $1.75. Nice. It's going up a little bit. Nice, about 10 cents from yesterday. Nice. A dude can do a lithium. Sweet. Oh yeah. I'm nervous about these prices, man. I feel like I really don't think this is going to sustain either. I think it's going to be down like 50s sooner than later, unfortunately. Waiting for my AXO. Oh, he said he's broke. Damn. Oh, broke is a username. He asked about Chlor. Oh, all right. Well, that makes way more sense, DJ, because I was so confused. All right, looking on this chart over here. Let's see the Bitmain Antminer KS5 Pro. Looks like that thing's making $22.72 a day. And the Dragon Ball Miner A11 3.2 terahash unit mining Radiant is actually making $46.47 a day. Crazy. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Bitmain Antminer L9, dude, shout out to Iowa Crypto Mining, aka Depran. Hashtag bring back Depran. He got one of these things yesterday. I saw a short that he dropped, so now he's hosting one of these. It's pretty sweet, actually. $14.33 a day this thing's getting, but it's nice to see people actually have them, because that's the first person I've seen with an L9 in like hand, you know. It's kind of neat. All right, let's see. The KS5M actually is making $13.47 a day. Caspa, mining Caspa. The KS5L over here, $9.14 a day. It's a 12 terahash unit. Not too bad. Let's see. The L7, where are we at? Bitmain Antminer L7, my 9050 down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them if you guys are interested in hosting. Links in the description. We got, again, 9050 for mega hashes, or giga hashes rather. And yeah, it is $4.45 a day. This thing's been profitable throughout the entire bear market, so it's nice. I just couldn't run it here. We get the Gold Shell AL Box 2 Plus. I got this thing running in the solar trailer. Actually, it's been running consistently 24 hours a day, which is amazing. Pulling 1,000 watts to that system easily. 1 terahash unit over here making $4.57 a day. I actually got to do some hash rate giveaway real soon to you guys. What is this? AL Box 2 Pro. Look at that. That's a new unit. That was not here before. 9050 making $4.33 a day. Let's see. The Ice River RX0 260 gigahashes, 100 watts, $3.88 a day. Has anybody got this thing yet? This RX0? I don't know if anybody's got their hands on it yet. They are fairly cheap though. What was it, like 300 bucks or something? Maybe 400, I forget. The Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit over here making $3.85 a day. It's crazy how little these things make now. Caspa miners. Let's see. Gold Shell AL Box 2, the original AL2. We got 720 gigahashes over here. $3.26 a day. Not too bad. Could be worse. Gold Shell AL Box, 360 gigahashes, making $1.63 a day. Bruh. Jesus. This Gold Shell KA box, man, this thing freaking took a nice shit. 87 cents a day, 1.6 terahashes. Crazy. Oh wait, that's a Pro. What? That's a Pro? They have a KA box Pro now? The hell? KA box over here, 1.18 terahash. This is the OG, 74 cents a day. Damn. Let's see, the RXO starts shipping tomorrow, most likely going to be around the 25th or the 30th. Damn. Nice. Let's see, the KS0 Pro over here, making 5 cents a day. That's a big oof. Big oof. We got the Ice River KS0 Ultra 400 gigahashes, 34 cents a day. So yeah, these things they're slowly dying, but they all add up, right? I have a whole bunch of them, so I got them all running together. All right, let's look at GPUs. Refreshing all this stuff. Looks like Aleo, I don't know how you're supposed to say it. Again, I still don't. Yeah, that's top of the charts. Apparently, we got Block, X, and Pyron on the top of the charts as well. Abel, I guess, for the 170HX, and Zealous, actually. Nice. Carlson and Pyron. Dual mining. Xano, top of the charts, 7900 XT. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Same coins that have been actually top of the charts for a while. I wonder if this Alo or Aleo, or however the hell you say it, wonder how profitable it is. I know it listed on an exchange if I'm not mistaken. Let me know. What's up, Geek of All Trades? Good to see you, buddy. Flashbang, apologize. Hash rate over here, 12 petahashes. Damn it. 12 petahashes on Lithium. All right, moving on. News. Let's get into it. We have Anthony Pompliano breaking Fed slashes rates and Bitcoin will explode. Let's see what he's got to say about this over here, and then we'll get into the actual news stations. Let's do it.
All right, breaking news. The Federal Reserve just decided to cut interest rates by 50 basis points. This obviously is an aggressive stance. This is them sending a message to the market, telling them we are here, we are going to step in, and we are going to stimulate the economy. Already, we have seen the S&P jump, we've seen Bitcoin jump, and gold just hit a new all-time high. These assets understand that cheap...
Real quick, someone in the chat, yeah, Andrew Rasad said, is he taking an Uber? I think he is. People that can stream like this, like, it's so awkward to me to record in front of other people. Like, it's just weird. I don't know how, like, people are just fearless though when they do it. I don't know how DJ does it. I don't know how Anthony Pompliano does it, just in the back of an Uber. Like, whatever. It's strange.
Cheap capital is going to flow into the market, and if the Federal Reserve is starting off with a 50 basis point cut, that means that they're serious. That we also know that the M2 money supply is expanding, and so anytime that you have the cost of capital coming down, you have more capital coming into the market. Asset prices, which are denominated in dollars, are going to go up. And so having the Federal Reserve step in. Now remember, asset prices, especially stocks, are already at all-time highs. Just yesterday, we got the S&P and the Dow Jones hitting a new all-time high. And then the next day, the Federal Reserve decides to start cutting interest rates and changing into a more quantitative easing regime. And so if asset prices like stocks and others are already at or near all-time highs, and then we get cheap capital coming into the market, you would expect these asset prices to keep going up. Now, from an investment standpoint, what is so interesting about this is, again, in the second half of an election year, we usually get more volatility, and that's exactly what we have seen. There's plenty of people talking about a potential recession, but if the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rates like this, then that signals to us that likely they are only just beginning. The market is now pricing in about 100 basis point cut all the way through the end of the year. We start with 50 basis points, and then we get 25 basis points and another 25. To go from 5.25 to 5.5% interest rates all the way down to 4.5% just in the last couple of months of the year would be a very bullish sign when it comes to stock prices, Bitcoin, etc. Now, one of the critiques of a big move like this is we are less than 50 days away from an election. And so obviously having a big interest rate cut like this is a boom. It's a tailwind for the incumbents. And so Vice President Harris and her campaign have to be very excited about the fact that we just got this big interest rate cut. Now, what I expect to happen here is that there's going to be plenty of people now.
This dude just run over a few pedestrians. You see him shake like hell.
Saying, oh wait, that recession we were talking about, that is unlikely to occur because we have a soft landing on our hands now that the Fed's going to stimulate the economy. Remember, asset prices at or near all-time highs with no stimulation in the economy, M2 money supply expanding, and now we get this big interest rate cut. That is going to be a very big positive. Now, of course, one other thing to pay attention to is where else are people going to put their money? There's over $6 trillion sitting in money market funds. So these people have run into the corners of the financial system because interest rates were high. When interest rates are high, they get a high yield. As those yields come down, these people are going to look to go back into financial assets. And so that's $6 trillion that's sitting in the money market funds. If all of a sudden that starts to flow back into stocks or other assets, then you can expect that to be a tailwind as well. Overall, I know people are worried about a potential recession, but it looks like the Federal Reserve is all over it. They are going to stimulate the economy. They're going to expand the money supply, and asset prices are going to benefit. And so 50 basis point cut, huge breaking news, much bigger than most people were expecting, and that is going to be a positive shock to the market. The Fed is here, they're serious, they're going to stimulate, and stocks, Bitcoin, and everything else is likely to go up over the long run. That's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, shout out to Anthony Pompliano. All right, Steven Cicero, thank you for fixing that. I just saw everything get deleted. I'm like, what just happened in the chat? All right, the Fed doesn't want to fall behind the unemployment rate, says FedWatch advisors. Let's see what they got to say over here on CNBC television. Let's do it.
For more on the Fed's big cut, Ben Emmons joins us here on set. He's a founder and CIO of FedWatch Advisors. It's literally a full house tonight. There's not an extra seat.
You can't
jam it. I mean, maybe in the middle. It's a donut, but
so all the players are on the field.
Exactly.
So to speak. Okay.
We're all in play.
Matt, since we're going with the gymnast.
We're trying.
Ben,
What the hell's happening?
What was your take on the message today? Did you also think it was muddled, as Michael had said?
I don't think it was that muddled, but what immediately caught my attention was that forecast for the unemployment rate for this year, right, jumping to 4.4, and that's why I think they lower rates by 50 basis points, because they see that weakening in the labor market somewhat coming through, and they just don't want to fall behind the unemployment rate, so to speak. Because as I said before, like once it goes up, it keeps rising. You know, you would have to slash rates really aggressively to get ahead of that. On the other hand, there was also a message about, hey, yeah, the economy is in good shape. It's not really an issue, but we want to keep it that way. And so that whole forecast was the soft landing. And by getting this unemployment rate down over the course of next year, which goes from 4.4 back towards 4, yeah, you need to front-load rate hikes. So I think, rate cuts. So I think the other interesting change was the median for 2025 going down 100 basis points, basically saying like we're going to front-load this easing cycle if we have an issue with the labor market. I think that was part of the push in the market, the risk on sentiment of like, yeah, Fed, you're drawing a line in the sand on unemployment.
I mean,
so it says a remainder 1,000 basis points could be delivered in the next few meetings rather.
That was the one change in the statement from the previous meeting to this meeting, and that is in the jobs statement. This time they said job gains have slowed versus moderated. So they are paying attention to that. But do you have confidence that you can go to 4.4% and that's the line in the sand? I mean, that seems like, I don't know, arbitrary, or like you said, once it starts ticking higher, it's hard to wrest control of that.
Yeah, that's what I read from it, that they put that forecast out there. Obviously, they did modeling and all that, but they put that out there to sort of give a gauge on, like, here's really a pain point. Like, if we get to that level or higher, then they have to change their rate forecast even more, right? And so I think this is the message for the bond market, too. Like, to your point, like, you get this curve steepening, I guess in partly because this 50 basis points cut may give the economy a little push here, because GDP now is back to 3%, retail sales were stronger, empire manufacturing was better, so there's a little activity already happening on just signaling rate cuts. So you're going to add the rate cut, get a little push here so the curve gets steeper, but you do draw that line in the center, that 4.4%, to actually keep that activity going. If not, you got to cut more. So.
Karen thought 50 for a while. She's right. Let me ask you this. Is a 50 basis point cut them basically saying, we think we've beaten inflation and it better not come back, otherwise we're going to sort of look pretty foolish 3 to 6 months from now? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that was interesting, Guy. They asked him this in the press conference, right? So taking the victory on inflation, he kind of stayed away from that, probably acknowledging
smart.
That smart enough. Yeah, probably acknowledging that, you do push the economy a little bit, right? So there is a possibility that in a year from now, which is in a stronger economy that nobody actually expects, like a stronger economy, and inflation does get further above target. Again, it's all about employment currently, and I think that's why they want to take their chances on the inflation picture, feeling confident it's at a level where it doesn't go higher.
Do you think it's maybe not consistent that Powell is saying that they're data dependent, yet also indicated virtually in the same sentence that the cut cycle has begun? So if the cut cycle has begun, he's saying that, then you're not really data dependent, right?
Yeah, because you basically, but he also said, like, in the S&P there are multiple cuts, even though you have one descent. So he's basically implying, like, we're all consensus here that we're going to keep lowering rates from here, right? So it's not a one deal here, one cut, and that's it. Like maybe the 95 cut that we saw at that time, right? It was just that one cut. So it is about a trajectory here. And
do you think that trajectory is now 50?
It could be, because by my own calculation, is that we got the Fed funds rate accounted for inflation going up about 100 basis points this year, right? So Fed funds rate 5.5 and inflation going down, so that's tightening. Plus the balance sheet has shrunk, and you can do a calculation on how the Fed funds rate would do on that balance sheet. That ran up too. So I calculated roughly about 150 basis points of tightening, passive tightening has happened this year. I think that's what they want to take away currently. So you did 50 today, but you could easily do another 50 the following meeting, even though that sounds large, just on that passive tightening.
Interesting. All right, shout out to them. Yes, Mr. Little Time Mining in the chat. Let's see. Trump buys with Bitcoin. I remember seeing this actually. Let the bull run start. Let's see what this is real quick. On Twitter.
Here, just going to scan this QR code here with this
Trump makes campaign stop at NYC Bitcoin bar.
phone. If you want to take that from them, scan that QR code right here. Take pictures. Right there, right there. Just that one.
Is he really buying a burger? Is that really what's happening right here? God, this stuff is so loud. Is that what he's doing though? Is he buying a burger? He's like, damn it, my iPhone 5 isn't working. You're a billionaire. You should have like a crazy phone. That's funny.
And fantastic, it went through.
That's right. Nice. Why? All right. Well, for one, I mean, listen, shout out to him for actually transacting in crypto, right? Bitcoin, awesome. But at the same time, don't waste your Bitcoin on burgers or anything at a bar. It's so stupid. All right, CNBC World's crypto television. Let's do it.
Hey, crypto
Or Crypto World, CNBC television. Let's do it.
markets react to the Fed's first rate cut in 4 years. Prager Metis, the auditor for
bump
FTX,
this up a
settles
bit.
with the SEC over negligence claims. And Turnkey Labs CEO Tyrone Ross discusses why he's not a fan of crypto ETFs.
Yeah, that'll be $1 million burger in the next 10 years.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Lindsay Jacobson. We have our first rate cut in more than 4 years, and crypto investors are making sense of the news. By 2:15 Eastern, Bitcoin was bouncing between a 1% gain and a 1% loss after the Fed's announcement it was cutting interest rates by 50 basis points. Ether dropped nearly 2%, and XRP fell to 57 cents. Prices are likely to continue bouncing around as we get comments from Fed Chair Powell around 2:30 Eastern Time. He's expected to talk about the Fed's outlook for the economy and
that
whether
already
more
happened.
rate cuts are on the way. For the latest price moves, head over to CNBC.com. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Accounting firm Prager Metis reached a settlement with the SEC over the company's involvement in an audit of FTX. Prager agreed to pay a $745,000 fine to settle the agency's claims of negligence-based fraud without admitting or denying allegations. The SEC alleged the firm falsely misrepresented compliance standards for FTX audit reports prior to the collapse of the crypto exchange. We reached out to Prager Metis, and Bruce Braun, a lawyer for the firm, said Prager Metis is pleased to have settled and that it was also a victim of FTX's mismanagement. Next, sticking with the SEC, the agency is cracking down on pig butchering scams in a series of enforcement actions. The SEC announced it charged 5 entities and 3 individuals for their alleged involvement with 2 fraudulent trading platforms, Nanobit and CoinW6. The SEC says this is the agency's first enforcement action tackling relationship investment scams. The SEC claims the alleged scammers impersonated wealthy individuals on social media. The individuals would direct victims to WhatsApp, where they would build a relationship. After the alleged scammers gained their trust, the agency claims victims would be convinced to make investments into fraudulent crypto platforms. The director of the SEC's Division of Enforcement,
So
Gurbir
sad.
Graywal, said these sorts of scams pose a risk of catastrophic harm to investors, and that, quote, the threat is increasing rapidly as these scams become more popular with fraudsters. This comes a week following the CFTC's announcement that the commodities and securities regulators are teaming up to educate customers on these scams. All right, let's head back over to Huntington Beach, California for our main story. Crypto World's Tanea Mikiel caught up with Tyrone Ross, the CEO of 401 Financial and Turnkey Labs. He explains why he's not a fan of the crypto ETFs that have gotten so much attention this past year. He also lays out what catalysts he thinks will drive the market's next rally.
So, Tyrone, last time we spoke, we were talking about financial advisors kind of not really being interested in these Bitcoin ETFs that came to market here in the US this year. Has anything about that changed since we last spoke?
Probably the only thing that's changed is my opinion, but again, I've been on record and my mother told me if I have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, but I'm known not to be a fan of them. But I will say there has been a lot of progress on firms doing due diligence to get access. So your Merrills of the world, your Wells Fargos, and so on and so forth. So I do think at first advisors were a little concerned that the Bitcoin ETF wasn't going to make a difference in client conversations in the planning side. And I believe at last count, like 3-4% of the purchases of the ETFs have been advisors. So it seems like the space have adopted it. Bitwise continues to say that they have advisors that are allocating meaningfully. So I think that's a good sign. I still personally believe that advisors don't need them, but we'll see what happens here over the next 18, 24 months.
Why are you not a fan of the Bitcoin ETF?
I think that the best way to hold an asset is directly. And why are we putting training wheels on a Ferrari? It just doesn't make any sense. I think Bitcoin is meant to be held self-custodial in a wallet that you control, but and trade 24/7, 365. If I put it inside of a vehicle that stops trading, I introduce myself to all these other type of risk. And if I'm being completely frank, which I'm known to be, is a money grab, right? You can buy Bitcoin anywhere at multiple venues right now. Why put it in an ETF and buy it that way? But Wall Street loves money. They package it up in a way and firms are buying it. And I think that's great. But I think the best way to hold something like Bitcoin is to hold it directly on your person. And it's a better asset for that reason.
What about the steep learning?
If you guys don't have Tangem, link is up in the pinned comment. That is my favorite hardware wallet. Please be safe and use a hardware wallet. Don't leave this shit on your computer if you're going to actually try to self-custody any type of crypto.
The steep learning curve.
I don't believe that that's an excuse anymore. I think there are firms like Coinbase and Robinhood and others. Like Cash App allows you to buy it on your phone and it automatically goes into cold storage, right? And you can sell it right there inside of the app. It'll transfer to cash. So that steep learning curve thing, I never bought.
Did you just call it cold storage inside an app? It's not cold storage. What?
Because there were firms that made it so much easier. Now, there is a learning curve if you actually want to hold it on your person in a self-custodial way on a hardware wallet. But even that has gotten easier with Trezor and Ledgers, and we help clients with it all the time. Coinbase Wallet, which is a better version of Coinbase, their self-custodial wallet. So I think that's no longer an excuse for the space. There's a lot of venues to do so, but there are folks that deal with clients that are 55 and older who don't want anything to do with it, buy it in an ETF. And I get it. I completely understand that.
Okay, so because sentiment seems...
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's geared towards, older people that aren't really tech savvy and don't want to really learn about something new, because it's really like, listen, they've survived this long with the dollar. Why are they gonna actually try to figure out some new system and have risks of losing it and all this other ish?
To be shifting, at what point do you expect to see investors who have slowly warmed up to the ETFs start to have their eyes open to...
I disagree, Dan. I disagree. Tangem is a cold... I kind of agree. It is a semi-cold storage, but you cannot remove the funds with just the app. So it's more cold than it's not. Do you know what I mean?
The idea of self-custody and put that into action.
It's actually, so here's what I believe. In my opinion, Tangem is actually safer because you don't have to plug it into a computer. That's the biggest thing here. Not having to plug it in or charge it or anything along those lines, right? Because someone could plug in, they have USB devices like in the end of or just little chips in the end of like USB-C cords or anything along those lines that can actually hack whatever you plug it into. Like, it's crazy.
And I have really good evidence of this, especially in the last couple of weeks. And this has been my thesis for years. Once advisors make the Bitcoin ETF or Ethereum ETF or any crypto ETF available to clients, what they're going to learn is the clients already own it away from them. So you want to buy me this Bitcoin ETF, great. But I also have a Coinbase account with $12.5 million in it. Got a call from an advisor there. Another one where the client had, 4 or 5 positions in Coinbase and a couple of $1 million. So I think what is going to happen is, again, remember, this space was built for retail, right? Retail have been in. Institutions and advisors are coming in later. So the advisors and the wealth techs and the platforms have to catch up to where the end client is. That to me is, folks will figure that out. So I think there'll be an education where the advisors learn the client have it away. And then the advisor will be forced to say, all right, how do we help the client deal with the risk that comes along with custodying on person versus at a custodian? What are the trade-offs? And then how do they help them do that?
Crypto KJ, that was a perfect post. You can't hack a Tangem. The Crypto KJ post was 20 hours ago. Your bank account has been hacked. Tangem, your bank account. Oh, thank God. Oh, that's the best.
Where do you stand on the rest of the crypto space?
Well, let's run through it. I'm a big fan of DeFi. I think decentralized finance is going to be very big. It's very early now, but when you look at Uniswap versus Coinbase, the numbers speak for themselves. I don't understand all of the tokenization hype. I think we'll get there. Big theme at the conference. We've been hearing about tokenization for years. I'm 12 years in. Like, there's really all these buzzwords have been here, but I think BlackRock will finally get us over the hump there. The ETFs, not a fan, never will be. I think data is a big story. I'm here because we're announcing a big integration with Morningstar to bring data, performance data, reporting, and cost basis data to advisors of their Coinbase accounts for their clients. To me, it's a big data story. So that's it. Again, I'm the biggest crypto hippie you will meet, but I think as far as where we are in wealth management and the broader themes, I think there's not too much that excites me now, except for the fact that decentralized finance seems to be finding its way. And I think the future of asset management is wealth management is going to be non-custodial. And listen, if you don't believe me, look at Fidelity and Schwab. They are both invested in a non-custodial exchange. So they see it too. So I'm excited about that and start to disintermediate a lot of the centralized power in the space. But all of the buzzwords and the other fancy stuff, I just can't. It doesn't. Stable coins too is one that I think is, there's some promise there, but I think a ways to go.
Well, let's talk about Bitcoin, because while that might seem like one of the more boring topics in the space, which I think is a good thing depending on who you're asking, we're expecting a Fed rate cut. We have an election coming up, and I think that the reality is that life is going to kind of come back into the space when we see the next meaningful Bitcoin rally to another all-time high. So what are you looking at? What's driving things for Bitcoin right now?
I think the rate cuts are going to be interesting. I think we have a series of cuts coming, right? Mm-hmm. Probably, end up being somewhere around 200 basis points, we'll see. But I think the other thing is, if you look at, I think Coinbase, 8 million monthly actives, Robinhood is around 13 million. And for Coinbase at 8 million, that's a low, right? So I think retail has kind of gone away from trading now. I think that's another one. You and I chatted about that. And then I think the last thing is, there are still folks who are doing due diligence, the larger wirehouses, on getting the access to clients for the ETFs. But I think it's going to take, I don't think it's going to take a new high, right? I think if we hit a new high, folks will get animal spirits again. They'll start logging into Coinbase and they'll start trading. But again, led by retail. I think the institutions are coming. Yeah, they're here, but it takes a long time for those investment committees to get comfortable with this. So again, I'm in it for the long term. I don't think Bitcoin matters to me to actually pay attention to the price and all that 5-10 years from now, perhaps. We're not even 20 years of track record yet, right? So when we get to 20 years of track record, let's see where we are. But I think there are some tailwinds here that'll happen. But in the interim, I think folks continuing to discover it, the ETFs finding their way, good research, and events like this and shows like this will get more people exposed. And I think that's what the space needs.
Absolutely. All right, shout out to CNBC Crypto World and Mr. Tyrone Hadouken to him, whoever that guy was. He was actually pretty intelligent. All right, moving on to the news segment of things. As you guys can see, I got the Klingon here. This kid, he will not go back upstairs, so he's going to be joining us the rest of the day. All right, crypto holders, it just happened. Let's see what Mr. Lark Davis has to say. I'm going to speed this up to 1.2. Let's do it. Guys, that like button, stop being lazy. Damn it.
Cuts are here. Papa Powell coming to save the markets.
This guy is a mess.
Let's go. Very exciting stuff. We got the rate cuts news for you today, what that could mean for us in the markets. We got Bitcoin news. We got altcoin news. Let's get it. Big stuff happening. So first and foremost, of course, we have to talk about the rate cut news, the story of the day. It's finally here. Oh my gosh, we've been talking about this for ages and it's finally damn happening. Holy cow. Perfect. This is the Fed pivot. We've been talking about this rate cut for months and months and months now. And of course, the hiking cycle was the Fed, man. Why do we have to? Anyway, whatever. It's happened. 50 basis points cut. So that essentially sees the rates in the USA drop from the current 5.25 to 5.5% down to 4.75 to 5%. So cool, nice, good news. This is good. The market so far liking it, reacting positively enough. There hasn't been massive volatility yet, so that's a positive, I suppose. The Fed has come out and said they see 2 more 25 basis point cuts in 2024. So by the end of the year, we're going to be at 4.25 to 4.5% interest rates in the United States.
That's awesome.
The Fed said they also gained greater confidence that inflation is moving down towards 2%, which it has been. Dropped from 2.9 to 2.5% last month. So that's definitely a positive thing. Fed also saying they'll carefully assess incoming data and evolve their outlook. Of course, jobs continue to be a very important factor here when it comes to what could happen next for rate cuts. Everybody's still in a lot of fear in the markets, I think, in spite of the fact that when you get a rate cut in a non-recessionary environment, that tends to be a bullish thing for the markets. So the Fed sees, again, another 100 basis points of rate cuts in 2025 and 50 in 2026. By the end of 2025, assuming nothing crazy happens, or not some giant recession forcing panic cutting from the Fed, then we're going to be down to 3.25 to 3.5% interest rates, which is a pretty normal level by the end of 2025. So that's pretty interesting. We'll be keeping you up to date on that, of course, as we go. I love this image here from Bitcoin Therapist. This image will forever be how I explain the market cycles to people. Time to go long Bitcoin and let the money printer go burr.
I love how the soft landings is falling off a huge flight of stairs.
So true, isn't it? Sometimes you think about the Fed and what they do, and it's just like, does this make any sense? No, it doesn't. Like those MC Escher paintings, man. Kaduna saying rate cuts are bullish, recession can be avoided. If a recession can be delayed to late 2025, that line perfectly with the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. And that's in reference to this chart here, how markets perform post rate cuts. So this is non-recessionary rate cuts specifically, okay? This is a very interesting chart, non-recessionary rate cuts. So 3 months after in the 67, 3 months after, 3% up, 9% up, 7% up, 4% up 12 months after. And you can look down and see here that generally, especially the 90s, I think are very, very indicative of where we could go. The 70s was a bit weird back then, wasn't it? Stagflation, a lot of weird stuff, the 80s. But the 90s probably more reflective of where we are in modern markets. I know the 90s feel like an incredibly long time ago. I was talking to somebody yesterday at the crypto conference here in Singapore, and I was telling them about LimeWire. I was like, oh shit, you guys are in your 20s. Like, you have no idea about this. Anyway, old man Lark here. So the 89, 95, and 98 cuts. This is very interesting. As you can see, 3 months after, we had 8, 5, and 18%. 6 months after, 7, 11, 25%. 9 months after, 4, 18, 20. These are insane numbers. And 12 months after, 13, 19, and 21%. This S&P 500 price returns. So again, here's the evidence. I know that everybody's been shoving this chart in your face that when rate cuts come, it's going to be mega bearish and it's going to be mega super recession, new Great Depression, all this kind of stuff. And I know there's still a lot of economic concerns. There's a lot of macro stuff still keeping us concerned, still keeping markets on edge. And that's all valid concerns, right? If unemployment starts spiking really hard, really fast, that's a problem. And that's going to spook markets. But here's the evidence for you that when we get non-recessionary rate cuts, markets pump like crazy. As long as we don't get a recession coming in the next few months, we're probably going to be pretty good for a Q4 and Q1 market rally.
Facts. Mr. Andrew Masad, thanks for being a member for 12 months, dude. One full year, fun LFG. Appreciate you, buddy.
And here's an interesting one here for you. Is the recession in the room right with us right now, says Fajal. So, but that's in response to Atlanta Fed estimates for Q3 GDP are currently 3%. Man, how the heck are you going to tell me that the U.S. is in a recession when we got 3% estimates for Q3 growth? That's ridiculous. That's really strong. Come on. Hey, quick shout out to today's sponsor.
Thanks. Shut up. No, we're not sponsoring none of this bullshit. Don't trust them, even though it's in the name.
For $62,000, the markets are loving it right now. Now, we are at right now a very, very critical area. So we'll see how it plays out for the next day or few days, but we're very, very much at a critical area right now, a very exciting and critical area. So the price of Bitcoin, we just closed our daily candle, as you can see right here, above all the key moving averages, above the 100-day, the 200-day, and the 50-day EMAs. Very interesting. The 50-day EMA currently starting to trend back up, narrowly avoiding that death cross. Cool. Now we have to get a nice solid daily close over 62K. You can see markets are loving the rate cut news overall. Get back above that bull market support band here, 62.7 approximately right now. Start putting daily candles in there. Then we might be off to the races. We might be starting to run up to at least start testing those key areas up above us. Break out the channel, which is around 67,000, I think, right now. Break over 72K, of course, is the line in the sand. We break over 72K. Holy crap, number go up, technology gets reactivated, things get crazy real quick. However, let's watch right now, see if we can get some nice confirmed daily candles above all these areas right here. You can see, we had that previous breakout on August 23rd, obviously not back off the wild fundamentals of a bullish rate cut. We had that breakout on August 23rd. It failed to close the daily candles in succession above the bull market support band. So something interesting to watch out there for, okay? But I think right now, market is getting very excited, a lot of bullish momentum coming in, and that is fantastic. I love the bull vibes that we're seeing here right now. Blunt's saying, don't fade this next Bitcoin all-time high rip. This will be the last macro leg higher. You got about 3 or 4 more months to make as much money as possible. Interesting take, whether it's going to be that short, whether we only have 3 or 4 months. So basically a market top around maybe December or January, according to this.
What do you guys think? 3 or 4 more months till we get new all-time highs?
We talked here about a possible market top in maybe March or April. A few different ways of looking at it. But certainly, remember, when the markets start pumping like crazy this time, for the love of God, take some money off the table. Okay, nobody knows how long this run could last. Maybe it's the super golden bull run and it's going to run for years and years and years, or maybe it's over in 3 to 6 months. Be prepared either way, okay, guys? Be careful. Be safe out there. Trades wisely, invest wisely. Okay, think long term for your Bitcoin bags and stuff like that. For your altcoins, come on, you guys know because you're invested in some absolute garbage bullshit. I'm invested in some of those things too. Okay, profits have to be taken. Bitcoin forming a massive cup and handle pattern. Again, more confluence here of a massive final leg up for the market. How long that leg lasts, how high that leg goes, all remains to be seen. But we have a lot of bullish things lining up here, especially for Q4 in the market, okay? Lucky Chart Ape saying this is almost always true, but it feels especially true now. I have a feeling the next 10 months are going to be one of the best times in a long time to know how to trade, and one of the worst not. So I think lifelong careers get made over the next year. Hopefully you take it seriously. A lot of opportunity coming up, guys. A lot of opportunity coming to the market. I hope everybody is paying attention. This is crazy news, by the way. Shout out.
Look, he covers that here. Nice.
Out to Donald Trump. I know some of you guys have very strong opinions against this dude, but here's the deal. Donald Trump is the first, I guess, former president, probably next president in history to make a Bitcoin transaction. He bought some cheeseburgers, man, because of course he bought some cheeseburgers. It's Donald Trump, isn't it? Whether you love or hate the guy, you have to realize this is monumentally big. This is a major world leader using Bitcoin to buy cheeseburgers. And yeah, he had a bit of a grandpa moment buying it and all that stuff, sure. But you cannot.
Because he was trying to figure out how to, or make it scan right. But dude, he has like an iPhone 8 or some shit. Did you see the camera on the back of that thing?
Fade the importance of this. I mean, this is the most pro-crypto stacked group of people running for office ever. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know some people are not going to be single issue voters and they're going to have problems with Donald Trump for other reasons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But just from a single issue voter perspective, Donald is slaying it on the crypto game. You can't argue that, man.
Oh, dude, is that Anthony Pompliano in the back right here? Is that the Pomp?
All the stuff. They're launching a DeFi protocol. He's buying cheeseburgers with Bitcoin, man. I mean, come on. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Here's a crazy one. Nairo ETH CTO, so the community takeover coin, got listed on Binance. It went up over 2,000% from like a $15 million market cap to like a $300 million market cap basically within 2 days. And just a reminder of how insane these markets are. You know, you see those memes sometime about like, what's that one coin is going to do the God candle, go multi-1,000% in a single day? Well, apparently it was Nairo ETH CTO. So this is the classified as the non-cabal coin, right? This is the community-led one versus the Nairo ETH, which has a much larger insider supply. So anyway, that's very interesting.
Who cares?
Binance listing some very low cap coins right now, particularly meme coins. So we'll see if that continues. Things get a lot crazier than, of course, people can always expect to see. Aerodrome Finance, by the way, shout out to my Aerodrome bags. You want to see what I hold in my portfolio? As always, full portfolio disclosures in the YouTube description. Pin comment over on X.
Is he just gonna shill the rest of the time about fucking random ass coins? All right, we're gonna drop all that. I don't really care to listen to any of that nonsense. All right, let's move on. Altcoin Daily, everything about to change in 2025. Bitcoin, what comes next? Hopefully something good. Let's do it. Guys, the like button. Appreciate you for hanging out.
If the United States government started to acquire Bitcoin, likely we're going to see Russia want to compete. We're going to see China want to compete. We're going to see all these other countries around the world that are going to start competing to accumulate Bitcoin as part of a strategic reserve. They're not buying it for a trade. They're not trying to make a quick buck. They're buying it to accumulate it, to store it as a reserve and long-term hold. And so with that, I think that the Bitcoin will be accumulated. It could drive tremendous performance.
Bitcoin is being drained from exchanges. Why? BlackRock continues to acquire Bitcoin en masse. Why? Donald Trump has major crypto plans for the US. What comes next out of all of this? We need answers. Brian Dixon, CEO of Off the Chain Capital, joins us. This man is an industry expert. I was surprised by some of the answers he gives in this interview. This is a video that you do not want to miss. Smash the like button. Let's start here.
Bitcoin reserves on exchanges hit a new multi-year low yesterday. Over 1 billion worth of Bitcoin left exchanges in 7 days. In fact, we have not seen Bitcoin exchange reserve levels this low since almost 2018. Brian Dixon, is all hell breaking loose in Bitcoin markets right now?
I would not say that at all. I think there's a couple things you want to look at in regards to Bitcoin leaving exchanges. One would be, is that flowing into self-custody? Because people are looking to become more long-term holders. I would say that's a good sign. Another thing is, where's the Bitcoin actually going? Is it flowing from a hot wallet in an exchange to a trust company or a qualified custodian for their own offline cold storage? So you really have to pay attention to where that Bitcoin is flowing to develop a better analysis of what's happening. But I would not say that all hell is breaking loose as of today.
DJ says 99% chance the CEO paid to be on the show. You know what? You're probably not wrong.
All hell breaking loose, not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm glad that you're putting our minds at ease. So like, you know, the Bitcoin is leaving exchanges. We're not sure exactly where it's going. Is this a bullish, like, is the takeaway from this bullish or non-consequential, or how do you think about it?
So I think it depends on where it's going, right? So if it's going into self-custody, I would view that as more of a long-term hold, which I would say is a bullish indicator because it's actually going to shrink supply, which could create more volatility and potential price appreciation with a limited supply if more people are wanting to enter the Bitcoin market, because that could create a narrative around scarcity. In addition to that, we saw some stuff with Binance last week where there were some issues around some of the Palestinian accounts. And I know there were some protests around Binance because of this. And we started to see some people actually remove Bitcoin from Binance. So whether they were moving that to a different exchange or they were moving that into self-custody, I think that's probably just some short-term issues that they're working through. But that is another reason why we may have seen some outflows over the last 7 days.
Brian, let's zoom out a little bit. You have a lot of experience in markets, in the crypto market, in tech. This is not your first rodeo. What are your big picture macro thoughts for the rest of 2024 and going into 2025?
So if we look at Bitcoin specifically, historically, the best time to be allocated to the asset is the 6 months before the Bitcoin halving and then 12 to 18 months post Bitcoin halving. Now, the most recent Bitcoin halving occurred in April 19th of this year. So we're right in that sweet spot right now. And I think in terms of price movement, it's pretty standard for what we've seen historically in terms of percentage increases and decreases over time. I would really anticipate that the remainder of this year into the first half of 2025, we should really see some exciting things happen. And one of the reasons I believe that is around the Bitcoin ETFs. So we've seen a tremendous inflow since those were launched in February of this year. But it's my opinion that we really haven't seen the largest allocations to the Bitcoin ETF yet that we will see in time. And the reason I think that is because the biggest investors in the world, the foundations, the pension plans, the sovereign wealth funds, these investors have very long due diligence timelines. And it may take 12 months of due diligence for them to research it, get it past their investment committee, educate their clients, et cetera, before they end up allocating. So I think maybe later this year into early 2025 is when we'll really start to see some very large allocations to the Bitcoin.
Anybody else notice this dust that's just like floating in the wind right here when he talks?
ETFs, because these large investors will have made it through their investment process. In addition to that, as a general macro outlook, I believe the election in the United States will have a lot to do with what we see happen with markets over the course of the next year. Right now, we have President Trump and recently RFK Jr. that stepped aside to endorse President Trump. I believe that would be very favorable for the digital asset ecosystem if Trump is ultimately elected, whereas the Harris administration has been historically very hostile towards the crypto sector. So, albeit a change in stance from the Harris administration, which it doesn't look like that's happening, that hostility may continue into that presidency if she's ultimately elected. So I think people really have to pay attention to that as well.
This guy's been on a few different stations before. I think he's been on Crypto World, CNBC television, if I'm not mistaken. He's actually a pretty decent talker. I don't think he's reading a teleprompter, but I'm sure they paid to be on Altcoin Daily.
So Donald Trump claims he is the Bitcoin president. If Donald Trump gets elected, do you think that's orders of magnitude better for the crypto industry?
I believe so, because back in 2020, Donald Trump was not very pro-Bitcoin, but recently he's changed his stance. I think he's gotten much more integrated with the digital asset community and is receiving much better feedback and education and understanding of this new technology and asset class. And we don't want entrepreneurs in the space to move to other jurisdictions because we're going to lose jobs in the United States because of that. And I think he's starting to understand that as well, that with this emerging technology sector, he wants to keep those jobs on U.S. soil. And with that, I think he's creating much more pro-Bitcoin stances. What we saw in Nashville this year at the Bitcoin conference, Donald Trump noted that if elected, he would create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. What we know today is that the Department of Justice has around 200,000 Bitcoin in its possession that it has seized through illicit activity and other issues online. And Donald Trump noted that he may take that 200,000 Bitcoin and move it from the DOJ to the Department of Treasury. And I think that would be the initial stockpile, and the U.S. government could continue to build from there. But somebody who really understands Bitcoin is RFK Jr. And, his speech at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville this year was very specific around what he wanted to do. And now that he has actually endorsed Trump and it's looking like they could potentially work together ultimately if Trump is elected, I would really look at RFK Jr. as somebody that provided incredible, valuable feedback for the digital asset ecosystem and how that could be integrated in the U.S. financial sector.
Let me ask you about this, Brian. The question is ultimately your price outlook, but let me set it up like this. To me, I think Bitcoin hitting $100,000 in 2025. To me, I think that's obvious. Nobody can predict the future. Anything can happen. But you mentioned some of the things. We have Fed rate cuts. We have the U.S. election. We have a potential Bitcoin president. We have BlackRock, Bitcoin ETFs in general, crypto being institutionalized. Not to mention just general use case, utility, revenue, and usership in the crypto industry. So my question to you is, if you had to give your best guess, does Bitcoin clear $130,000 in 2025, above or below in 2025?
I think that would be a floor. Now, if we look at models historically, some things like trendline analysis show that Bitcoin should be valued around $150,000 today, but it's not. It's trading at close to $100,000 less than that. So according to trendline analysis, Bitcoin is very undervalued. If we look at things like stock to flow, 3 of the last 4 times Bitcoin has gone through its bull cycles, it's actually reached 2 standard deviations higher than where that model value indicated it should be. So 1 standard deviation higher than the stock to flow model for this current cycle would put Bitcoin at around $1 million. 2 standard deviations would put it around $2.3 million. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to go to that level, but I think the $100,000 to $130,000 price range that you noted to me as a floor, I would project that it's actually going to reach much higher than that. And one very important thing to consider is ultimately, if we do have somebody like President Trump that's elected, and it happens to be very favorable for the digital asset ecosystem, we may reach a point where we could have nation state adoption, and it would have a geopolitical game theory race that would play out. And what I mean by that is if the United States government started to acquire Bitcoin, likely we're going to see Russia want to compete. We're going to see China want to compete. We're going to see all these other countries around the world that are going to start competing to accumulate Bitcoin as part of a strategic reserve. And the benefit of that is that when a country acquires something for a strategic reserve, they're not buying it for a trade. They're not trying to make a quick buck. They're buying it to accumulate it, to store it as a reserve in long-term hold, like we've done with gold for many, many years. And so with that, I think that the Bitcoin would be accumulated. It could drive tremendous performance. And the projections that we could see from that, I think, are far beyond what we're even talking about right now.
Appreciate you giving us your time today, Brian. Just have a question or two left as we're wrapping things up. I know that you're not only bullish on Bitcoin, but you're bullish on the whole crypto space. Would you say, and like Ethereum has an ETF now too, are you more bullish on Bitcoin or Ethereum nowadays? Do you think Ethereum is a better bet than Bitcoin, or how do you think about it?
If this guy says he's more bullish on Ethereum, I'm just going to quit YouTube.
I just look at them in 2 very different ways. So Bitcoin, I look at as it's solving a very specific problem with our fiat money printing system, whereas Ethereum is solving a very different use case and problem, which is, digital smart contracting. And Ethereum has a lot of competitors, right? So, Ethereum has some challenges right now. It has extremely high gas fees, and then it has things like Solana and Binance Smart Chain.
That is the understatement of the year. Ethereum having extremely high gas fees. They are more than extreme.
And a variety of other smart contracting protocols that's competing against it. So what we ultimately don't know is Ethereum going to be Ask Jeeves, and another one of these smart contracting protocols is going to be Google? It's just too early for us to figure that out. Ethereum has obviously gained a tremendous amount of utility and application in a variety of different things, and it has a huge first mover advantage. And so it may work through these challenges over time, and we could have a variety of smart contracting platforms that are competing for different use cases and applications. It's also possible long term that some of the digital asset ecosystem could collapse on top of Bitcoin as new layers continue to be evolved on top of Bitcoin. And that's just too early for us to figure out. But I do think Bitcoin's use case, I don't think really any other digital asset protocol is competing with Bitcoin in terms of trying to have this replacement to states controlling the money supply and having the opportunity for full sovereignty over a digital monetary system. And I don't think anything else is really trying to, because Bitcoin has the user adoption, it has the technology, it's the most secure network. What I actually think could be an interesting thing long term is how Bitcoin and other digital asset chains could really interact with each other. So for example, what happens if you have a smart contracting platform like Ethereum, but it anchors its transactions in Bitcoin's blockchain for security purposes? So it can solve an application outside the scope of what Bitcoin may be built for today, but anchor in the security network of Bitcoin. And I think we'll see some really interesting new protocols and applications that get developed with that in mind.
So it sounds like the answer is Bitcoin. You think Bitcoin is still the smart play?
I think Bitcoin as of today is still the smart play. I think it'll continue.
All right. I knew I liked him. I knew it wasn't going to be Ethereum, but listen, it doesn't mean I'm not bullish on Ethereum. I think it's going to do well or fine long term, right? The ETF's definitely a huge help for Ethereum, but Bitcoin as a whole, he's 100% right. It's 2 totally different animals.
To be the smart play for many years to come. If I would look at allocations, I would say from a digital asset perspective, investors should look at Bitcoin as a bulk of their allocation, and the remaining ecosystem should be treated like a venture investment at this point in time.
Brian, appreciate you sharing this alpha with us today. I'm Aaron of Altcoin Daily.
All right, shout out to them for that. All right, let's get into the recap segment of things. My kid, oh. Oh, he just dropped his milk onto my desk. It's on the floor. Fuck. All right, everybody just joining. I got a gremlin next to me, and he's ruining shit. All right, Bitcoin 62,729 bucks. Hell yeah, looking sick. We got Ethereum at 24.38. Solana 139 bucks. Damn, Solana's doing good. Hell yeah, ADA 35 cents just about. Damn, look at that. Caspa 17 cents. Yeah, bro, get it. Hold on, I gotta get this milk. All right, got it. At least my computer's on the other side of the desk, so it's not all over the place. It's just kind of all over the place. Anyways, all right, Near Protocol right here, $4.48. We got AVAX 26 bucks. 26.26 to be exact. Dogecoin almost 10.5 cents. ETC 18.6. Hell yeah. Sui is at $1.36. Oh my god, I'm getting bombarded by kids, man. Come here. You can come here. What are you doing? Come here. All right, she doesn't want to come here. All right, anyways, what am I doing? Render looking like $5.17. Let's see what else. Let's get over to Crypto Bubble, see if anything changed. Biggest earner of the day still seems to be Popcat over here, 91 cents. If anybody's into that meme coin, I assume that's what it is. Flashbang for anybody just joining. Again, Fear and Greed Index is at a 49, looking pretty decent. All the mineable coins that you guys can dive into. Looks like this Aleo or Elo or whatever the hell you call it. BlockX and Pyron, Carlson and Pyron rather. We had, let's see, Zealous was here somewhere. Right here, Zealous on the CMP 90HX Chlor as well. Everything is looking pretty good, guys. Everything is looking good. The market is all green. Everything is fantastic. I need to get back to daddy duty. These kids are killing me right now. So you guys have a happy and safe Thursday. I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:45, 7, depending on life. But you guys have a great day. Enjoy your Thursday, and I'll catch you guys then. Peace out. Have a good one.
If she don't hawk to her, we don't talk to her.
Perfect.